Browser extensions can be quite helpful, but if you're not careful, it can do more harm than good. One of my clients did contact me stating that they noticed some weird activity going on with their business Facebook account, and they wanted me to investigate what had occurred. Long story short, it turned out that a user downloaded an AI assistant browser extension, which did have malicious code to extract information related to Facebook. Pretty interesting, right? If this is your first time seeing my video, hello, my name is Steven, and I have been in the cybersecurity industry for over 8 years within the security operations domain. On this channel, you'll find various videos about career guidance, lab walkthroughs that are similar to this one, and projects that you can tackle and put onto your portfolio. Now, in today's video, I'll be walking you through a lab provided by Blue Team Labs Online called Cryptominer. In this lab, we'll be diving into browser forensics and take a look at a browser extension that might be doing things that it shouldn't be doing. Let's get started. To get started with this lab, you want to head over to blueteamlabs.online and create an account if you haven't done so already. Once you've signed in, you want to head over to challenges located at the top. And then from the search bar, you want to search up browser. And the one that we're interested in is the Browser Forensics Cryptominer. Click on Start Challenge. And before we get started, let's take a look at the scenario. It says, our SOC alerted that there is some traffic related to crypto mining from a PC that was just joined to the network. The incident response team acted immediately, observed that the traffic is originating from browser applications. After collecting all the key browser data using FTK Imager, it is your job to use the 81 file to investigate the crypto mining activity. Now that we know the scenario, you might be wondering, what exactly is an 81 file? And what is FTK Imager? Well, let's go ahead and Google that. I'll open up a new tab and type in 81 file. Let's take a look at this drop down here. It says 81 files are logical images similar to a container. They are used to hold file-level acquisitions. However, they are not very common since it is a proprietary format. Now let's take a look at FTK Imager. So I'll just go ahead and expand this here. FTK Imager is a forensic imaging and analysis tool designed to acquire, create forensic images, and perform detailed analysis of various types of digital media. Now, the reason why we wanted to take a look at FTK Imager is because this is the tool that we will be using to analyze the 81 file that we have from the lab. I'm going to go ahead and close up this tab and let's download the file. I'll save it onto my desktop. And I do want you to pay attention to this tool right here, Browser History Viewer, and obviously the FTK Imager that I mentioned earlier. This tool, the Browser History Viewer, will want to make sure to download this onto our computer so we can use this particular tool for our analysis if needed. And how do we download it? Well, I'll just go ahead and double click it, right click, and search Google for Browser History Viewer. From here, we want to make sure to select the one that's located under Nersoft, and then scroll all the way down until we see Download Browsing History Viewer. And because I am using a 64-bit Windows machine, I will select the Download Browsing History View, 64-bit. But I've already downloaded this beforehand. Now that our lab has finished downloading, I'll go ahead and open this up. I'll right-click, head over to 7-zip, and extract here. And now it's asking me for a password. We'll head over to BTLO, and the password is BTLO all in lowercase. And I'll type that in. If it extracted successfully, we should have a new folder called Browser Forensics-Cryptominer. And we do have another zipped folder here. So I'll right click, 7-zip, and extract here. Go inside the browser data directory. And now we have a browserdata.81 file. If I were to double click this, I wouldn't be able to open it. I would have to choose a different application to open it. Now, one of the applications that you can use to analyze an 81 file is FTK Imager. So let's go ahead and download FTK Imager. Open up a new tab, type in FTK Imager, and I'll select the second one, which is this, FTK Imager version 4.7.3.81. Click on the download button, and we just need to fill out a quick form to download FTK. Once you've installed FTK Imager, go ahead and double click it. And once FTK Imager opens up, you want to open up the 81 file. To do that, you'll want to head over to File, click on Add Evidence Item. Next, you want to click on Image File. Click on Next, and now let's browse to our 81 file. It's inside our browser forensics, browser data, and browser data.81. Click on Finish, and now it's loaded inside FTK Imager. I'll go ahead and maximize the screen. The first thing you want to do here is click on the plus button to expand this particular file. Keep on expanding it, and you'll notice that there is a folder called Users. So this particular directory is actually the Users directory within a Windows operating system. And just to show you what I mean, if I go over to my C drive, click on Users. So this right here, this user directory is essentially this user directory. And if I were to expand that, I can see that there is a user called IE user. Expand that again. This is the app data folder. And now we have two different directories. We have local and we have roaming. Now, before we drill deeper into these folders, let's head over to BTLO and see what kind of questions that they're asking. Question number 1, how many browser profiles are present in Google Chrome? That's a great question. If I'm taking a look at this, I'm questioning where exactly are these browser profiles being stored? So let's Google that. Where are Google Chrome profiles stored? And take a look. Ooh, and look at what's being highlighted. %appdata %/Google/Chrome. But what exactly is this %appdata? Well, a fun little trick for you if you're following along. If you click on the File Explorer tab, so right here, you can type in %appdata% and then hit enter. Now you can see exactly where that path takes you. And if I were to click on the tab again, we can see it as C users Steven app data roaming. Aha. So now we know where these profiles are being stored, or well, by default, it's saying it's stored here. But it could obviously be in a different path. So if I were to open up my FTK Imager, and I see that there is a roaming path. However, if we take a look on the right-hand side, we only see Mozilla. We do not see Google Chrome or Google. Interesting. So where would our profiles be located then? Well, if we go back over to our Google search, you might have noticed that it says use Chrome browser with roaming user profiles. The keyword here is roaming. There is a difference between local and roaming, but that is another topic for another video. So let's change our search query and say, where are local Google Chrome profiles stored? And if we scroll down just a bit here, we can find a website from howtogeek.com. And if we scroll down, under Windows, it is under C users username, app data, local, Google Chrome user data, default. So that right there is our path of interest. Going back over to my FTK Imager, I can go over to local, and now we have a Google directory. Let's go ahead and expand local. And I'll expand Google again, and I'll continue expanding Chrome, user data, and right here we do see the default directory. So this is our profile number 1. And you might notice very quickly at the bottom, we have another directory that says profile 1. If I click on that, it essentially has the same information. So what that tells me is that there's likely 2 profiles. The first one is the default one, and then another one where they created a profile number 1. Going back over to BTLO, I am going to say 2. Hit submit, and that's correct. Awesome. The next question here is, what is the name of the browser theme installed on Google Chrome? Okay, let's try and search up where are themes stored in Google. So I'll open up a new tab, where are themes stored in Google? And taking a look at this site right here from superuser.com, I can see that there is a file path here, and it shows user data /default /extensions. Now that can be an interesting directory. Now, if I were to take a look into the default profile, which is my user profile, and click into the extensions, there are a lot of different folders with a long string of random characters. Now let's go ahead and click on one of them. I'll click on the first one, starting with AA and ending in EK. Let's go ahead and drill into that. And we do get a couple of files here along with 2 directories. The manifest.json file, which is the one at the bottom, this gives us some information as to what this particular extension is. If we take a look at the container, we can see that this particular extension, it relates to Google Drive. Now, what we can do here is start expanding all of these extensions and taking a look at the manifest.json to see if there's anything theme related. But before I do that, I do want to use our new tool called Browser History View. So I'll minimize my FTK imager and the browser, and I'll double click my browsing history view. Now you do get presented with a couple of options here, but for this particular demo, I am just going to select a dropdown and make sure that I am selecting load history items from any time. And under the load history from, I want to make sure I select load history from the specified profiles folder. For example, C:\users. So that is the one that I want to select. And if I click on the 3 dots, it's going to ask me to select that particular user directory of interest. But where exactly is it? I don't have it on my disk. I mean, it's inside the AD1 file, but how do I take it out? Well, to get this particular directory, you want to open up your FTK imager, and let's scroll all the way up. And you want to select the users directory, right click, and you can export the file. So that's what I'll select, export files. I'll save this onto my desktop, and I'll just wait a couple seconds until it's finished. Once it's complete, you'll see exported successfully. Hit OK. And now let's go back over to our browsing history viewer. Click on the 3 dots, head over to your desktop, and then you should see the users directory. So this right here is the one that we're interested in because it does contain the user of interest, which is IE user. Click on OK and hit OK. Now we see all of the browsing history for that particular user. The first thing I like to do is make sure that I sort the visit time. The reason why I sort it is because I find it easier, for me at least, to view all of the data from oldest to newest. Now, if you like seeing it newest to oldest, you can go ahead and click that again to sort it. And if we take a look at one of the columns here, it says web browser. Now, because the question is relating to Google Chrome and not Firefox, we want to just keep scrolling down until we hit Chrome. So right here is the first entry of Chrome, and this occurred at February 9th, 2021 at 3:29:09 p.m. But you might be wondering, well, Stephen, what exactly is the time zone for this? And that is a great question. What you want to do is head over to Options and make sure that Show Time in GMT is currently checked. So now we don't need to second guess ourselves. What you're currently seeing is in GMT time zone. And also, you might be wondering as well, why am I using Browsing History View to take a look at the browser history? Well, for question number 2, it's asking about the browser theme, right? Let me go back to it. So question 2, it says, what is the name of the browser theme installed on Google Chrome? What this tells me is that the user must have searched theme to install this particular browser theme, or somewhere along those lines. So that is why I wanted to look at Browsing History View to see what websites the user had gone to get an idea and drill down further. Now, if I go back over to my history viewer, let's take a look at the title column, and we can see what was being searched. So we see internship, COVID-19, and look, Google Chrome themes. Okay, I'll go ahead and drag this a bit. Let's keep scrolling down. We see Chrome Web Store. There is Google's new Chrome 88 update and Earth in Space. This was at 3/31/29. What is Earth in Space? I'll search that in Google. Earth in Space, Google Web Store. And this is the one. We see atavi.com/browser themes. So Earth in Space is likely our theme. But how do we know for sure? Well, let's go back over to FTK Imager. Because remember, this, if we were to add it, it would be an extension, right? So what we want to do is head over to FTK Imager and take a look at the manifest under the extensions that are currently installed for that particular profile. Scrolling down, we've opened this one right here, and this was Google Drive. Let's keep expanding the other ones. This one is the same thing, Google Drive. We can see the URLs for this, docs.google.com. That's not what we want. Ooh, this one's YouTube, so it's something different. And this one, we have a manifest here, and description allows staff members to, oh, look at that. We found something interesting. The name is DFP Cryptocurrency Miner. Although this is not the theme, but this particular extension is very interesting and we should keep a note of it. We got Google Drive again. Now we can continue drilling down into each extension and look at the manifest.json, but imagine you have like 200 extensions installed. I know that's kind of excessive, but that will take you a long time to go through each one. So what is a more smarter way to do this? Well, if we actually click on the extensions directory, we can see that when the date was modified. I'll go ahead and sort it by clicking on date modified. And if you recall our browser history view, the user visited Earth in space around 3:31:29 p.m. UTC time. So if we take a look, let's head over to 3:31:53. This is pretty close to our event. So I'll double click that, head over to manifest. What does that say here? Aha, web URL, Earth in space. That is a much smarter way to do things. At least it's more quicker. So head over to BTLO and the theme name is Earth in Space. Identify the extension ID and the extension name of the Cryptominer. That we know because we came across it. That was, I believe, this one starting with EG and ending in BB. So the name of this is, again, DFP Cryptocurrency Miner. Go ahead and copy that and take a look at the format. So they want the extension ID, comma, space, extension name. So go ahead and paste in the extension name and put a comma here. And then we need the extension ID. So I went ahead and copied it, paste that in here, click on submit, and that's correct. What is the description text of this extension? Let's take a look here under our description. Allows staff members to mine cryptocurrency in the background of their web browser. Copy that, and let's paste that in here. Sweet. What is the name of the specific JavaScript web miner used in the browser extension? Just enter the name without any special characters. Okay, where can we get this? Taking a look at our FTK imager here, we do see a JavaScript, which is this, background.js. Now, we don't see anything in the preview tab, but we know for sure that there is some kind of content in here. How do I know that? Well, if we take a look at the file size, it is 699 bytes. So that means there's something in there. If there was nothing, you would see 0 bytes. What we can do is extract this out, similar to how we did our user profile. Just right-click and export files. I'll click on desktop and click on OK. So I've exported this file onto our desktop. Now, as a pro tip for you, just in case, anytime you download something from the internet and you don't want to accidentally execute it, you want to make sure to change the file name extension. Right now, as you can see, it has the file extension of .js. So if I were to double click it, it could execute. What I can do is right click, rename, and I'll rename the .gs to .malware and click on yes. Now, in order to do this, you want to make sure that the file name extensions is currently checked. That way you can see the file extension. And to do that, you can click on view and over to the right, file name extensions. You want to make sure that this is currently checked. Because if it's not, and it's not by default, by the way, you won't be able to see the file name extension. If you check it, you can then see it. So that's how you do it. And pro tip for you. Now, I do have Notepad++ installed, and you can obviously open this with normal Notepad if you want, but I'll go ahead and click on Edit with Notepad++. And here we go. We got some content. Our first line says script source, and it gives us a URL here. It's going to crypto-loot.com/lib/miner.min.js. And I completely forgot what the question was. It says, what is the name of the specific JavaScript web miner used in the browser extension? What is the name? Looking at the script, we do have var miner. It's assigning a variable of new cryptoloot.anonymous. Cryptoloot sounds like the name, and that is what I will be using. Paste that in, hit submit, and nice, that is correct. How many hashes is the Cryptominer calculating per second? That we can probably find in this particular JavaScript. And looking at hash found, oh, right here, get hashes per second, 20. That should be the answer. Type in 20. The next question, what is the public key associated with this mining activity? The public key would be somewhere right here. This looks like a key to me. So that is what I'll be using for the public key. Paste that in. The last and final question. What is the URL of the official Twitter page of the JavaScript webminer? Well, we do know it has to do something with crypto loot. What if I search up crypto loot miner and Twitter? We do have a Twitter page, and I am not currently signed in. But let me go back. We can see that it is twitter.com crypto loot miner. And let's type that in here. twitter.com/crypto loot miner. Nice. And just like that, we completed the Browser Forensics Cryptominer Lab. That was a pretty interesting lab. The main takeaway here is to be very careful installing third-party browser extensions, as there are some pretty nasty ones out there. Always do your research and try and view the source code, or maybe use a tool called CRX Cavator, I believe, to scan and analyze the extension for you. That is it for the video, and I do hope that you found that informative. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribe if you want to. Remember to stay curious and do things differently.